To the Frugal Family. This is a live stream. It is the day after Hurricane Milton. Getting some sustenance here to help combat the effects of the pain relief. The gummies. Oh, hold on. All right. I've got my laptop over here so that we can check up on some things as we enjoy our hour together today. Hello Sandy, hello Vicky. So as promised, hi Crystal. So as promised, this is another day of live streaming while we get through all of this hurricane stuff. I have other videos that have been geared up, like product reviews and more of the getting ready for Christmas product reviews and stuff like that, but I didn't feel like it was appropriate to post those videos yet. And spoke with the sponsors of, there's two of them specifically that were due yesterday and today. Hi Darlene, hello Shatika. And I did speak with them and explain to them that I just didn't find that appropriate and that I would wait until this weekend to be posting those videos out of respect for everything that's going on and the people that are suffering. And no disrespect to other YouTubers, content creators, especially with contracts in place that have to post those kind of videos. It just, luckily, I didn't have to do it right then. And so I was able to hold off on those. Hi, Andrea. Thank you so much. So, but I do have those coming. And one of them, no, both of them, hi, Sharon, are featuring my daughters, which is really exciting. They got to review some really fun products, and I got to be part of it as well, but the girls are definitely the ones that are featured the most, so exciting. Looking forward to those, but just felt like it was appropriate right now to hold those off until this weekend, and to focus mostly through tomorrow. Well, hello, if it isn't Miss RB. How you doing, Rachel? Excuse me. To focus until this weekend, excuse me, God, just on the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the storms, and kind of keeping track of everybody, providing an opportunity for people to check in so that we can make sure everyone in our community is well and doing all right. I have heard from Carol, and she was able to have family with her. They did lose power, but they were able to get a generator going, which is fantastic. I'm so happy, grateful to hear that. And waiting to hear from Kathy and Patricia. I know Patricia was without power and was conserving energy power, so hopefully we hear from her and any of our other friends. Lab Brockington, hoping to hear from Lab here in this video. And anyway, any of our other friends, you guys know I'm terrible at remembering all of the names, but I do remember you and I do care about you, and that's why we're doing these live streams every day, which is absolutely not normal for me. Yes, Lulu.
The 13th is on a Sunday.
Oh, do you have it off?
Yeah, because next week I'm doing training.
Oh, you do have it. Oh, good.
Yeah, the 13th is a Sunday, not Saturday.
Okay, I didn't realize. Awesome. Lulu and I were just talking about, because this weekend will be part one of my family's Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Hi, there's Lab. Speaking of, not the devil, because you're not, but Lab, we were just waiting to hear from you and all of our other Florida friends, and anyone in North Carolina as well, and to check in, see how everyone is doing. Hello, Pamela, my darling. Melly, hello. So Lulu and I were just clarifying dates. Look, Weed gummies. Your brain gets a little off, okay? Doing the best that I can, though. So, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, that we're clarifying dates for days that she has off and all of that, because we have our 2 Day of the Dead celebrations coming up with my family. And so, yay, hallelujah, I had the date wrong, and the 13th is Sunday, not Saturday. So that's fantastic. And Olivia will be able to attend. Anyway, Lab says that it is very windy where she is, but otherwise all is good right now. I'm so glad to hear that. That is wonderful. So I'm not sure what all we want to focus on with kind of our check-in. Obviously, the main thing is to see that everyone's okay, to provide support and community and all of that with and for each other. Also to distract me from my own adventures. And I thought also it might be a good idea to check in on what kind of prepping and emergency supplies that the rest of us have going. Like, for instance, I showed the other day that I stocked up our water. I am going to be on this week's grocery order adding in a couple other little things that I feel like would be wise to have. You know, we'll be heading into winter, and in Utah, you never know which way that's going to go, if it's going to be insane or very little at all. And it just makes sense, right, to be prepared. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. And please tell me in the comments what things you all are doing to be prepared. And so, you know what, I'm going to go with one of my original ideas. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a list of necessary emergency supplies that everyone should have. So, and this is going to be just a kind of a general list where obviously, depending on your different life circumstances and situations, you're going to need to, you know, modify the list a little, right? If you have babies at home, if you have pets, if you have elderly, if you have folks that are special needs, that are using oxygen, that are disabled, obviously all of those factors are going to inform the modifications you're going to need for your emergency supplies. Okay, but we're gonna go over a general list, all right, and see where we end up. Pamela, well, you're honest about it. Okay, you are honest, and that's important. Pamela says, oh crap, we have nothing. All we have is my nephew's flashlight collection. Okay, so let's start there. That's fine, Pamela, that's fine. Let's start there. Does that flashlight collection have fresh batteries? When's the last time the flashlights were tested? Are they accessible if the first floor of the house were to flood? Like, and you ended up, God forbid, you know, but stuck in like the upper floor or up on the roof or whatever. These are real concerns for certain areas. If you're not in an area like that, well then modify. You know what I mean? But flooding can happen almost anywhere. Whether it's the pipes break from the city, the pipes break from the house, or there's rivers, there's flash floods, there's a tsunami, there's a hurricane. So things to think about. Pamela, that's wonderful. Fantastic. So you live in a ranch. Does that mean then that you have livestock? What plans then would you have for the livestock in an emergency situation? Besides eating them, which, you know, yeah, that in itself is an emergency prep, right? Crystal, I'm so glad that you're with us. You just focus on driving. Andrea, hello there. Glad to hear from you. I don't know, as far as the folks in Tallahassee, our friend Kathy here longtime friend of the channel, one of the best commenters, most dedicated commenters in the on the channel. It lives in Tallahassee, and so we have yet to hear. Okay, we have yet to hear. But I can definitely look. But first, I do want to go over some of this general list, okay, of things that anybody and everybody should have. Again, with the caveat that different circumstances and situations, you will need to modify the list, right? So containers for water. Well, it says containers for water, but I think we mean containers of water. Of water. Okay. So, oh, wonderful, Pamela. You're fabulous. She's got her paper and pen. And guys, this is for real. The worst thing that you can do, that any of us can do, is to labor under the erroneous, potentially dangerous assumption that it's not going to happen to us. Because it is, and it will. It'll be a different flavor of disaster and calamity, sure, but it is going to happen. Something will go wrong in your life. That's guaranteed. I live in a burning down circus of a body, okay? Nothing will ever go 100% as you planned. The best that we can do is be prepared for it. So, let's jump in. Lab says, we have 3 cats. Try to keep an extra bag of food and litter on hand for them. Yep, and the cat litter is good on icy steps. It's also good for cleaning up fluid messes, vomiting, things like that. I learned that because I was on the safety team at Walmart back in the day. Let's see. Hello, Marion. Thanks for being here. Drinks. Yep. Ensure. Yep. Great idea. Those kinds of calorie dense, nutrient dense drinks. Fantastic in an emergency situation. So, number 1, we've got containers for/of water. Now, keep in mind, the water eventually will only be able to be used for non-potable purposes. So for watering the plants, maybe feeding the animals or giving drink to the animals. But so you do want to refresh the stock fairly regularly. You know, you've had those ones for like 4 years. Go ahead and water the house plants and some of the plants outside, and then, you know, deep clean, you know, really with soap and water, clean your containers and add, you know, fresh water. Always a good idea. And do have extra containers for water. So you might be keeping, you know, the recommended amount per person, which is 1 gallon per day per person. You might already have that on hand for, say, you know, 2 days, you know, or 72 hours or whatever it is that you're going with. Okay. Yeah, Andrea, I'm going to be checking some of those other creators for sure. I'm very motivated and inspired by recent events. Kimberly, hello, welcome. So, but there may come circumstances where you find, hello, Holly, thanks so much for being here. Excuse me. There may come circumstances where you find that you need more than just that immediate bug out amount of emergency water for you and yours. And in those situations, hello, Tam Tam, thank you so much for being here. In those situations, it is a great idea to have containers available or to know what containers are usable in a situation where you're advised to stock up on extra water. So the bathtub, a lot of us, you know, mentioned the bathtub. Fill the bathtub. But also we've talked about your pitchers, your storage containers, your garbage, you know, scrub out a garbage can and use a garbage can. Your coolers, you know, stuff like that. So definitely either have extra and specific containers for water if you have room for them. Let's keep in mind, a lot of us have limited space, all right? And some with far more limited space than I do. So if you can't have extra specific containers on hand, well, then just have in mind what containers you already have available that you can use to hold water. And there's Kathy. There you are, my darling. I'm so glad. She's safe, she's okay, and she never lost power. Kathy, that is wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Millions of people lost power. Kathy did not. I am so grateful. I'm so glad all is well. Kathy, we've had folks in the comments asking how things are going in Tallahassee. So if you wouldn't mind to share a little bit about the Tallahassee experience here in the comments, I know we would all appreciate that. Then, number 2, we're still on water. We have water purifiers. So there are so many different kinds of water purifiers that you can get. We've actually had sponsorship offers for several different ones, and I haven't taken on any of those just because a lot of the things were things that I just don't have room for. But an idea, a thought that comes to me right now in this moment is we could take the sponsorship offer and maybe give out the purifier that I just, because the ones I've been offered are just too big. They're like, that go on the counter or hook into your faucet. I don't have any room or wherewithal to hook anything else into our faucet, and I don't have room on the counter for a purifier. So I need different means, maybe like a pitcher purifier or something. But anyway, if we were to take on one of those sponsorships and then gift out hello Linnea, thanks for being here, to gift out the purifier to one of our frugal friends. I think that would be something to do. That could be a good thing. Kathy is updating us that Tallahassee is full of people from Tampa, many of which can't go back yet. So, no power outages there in Tallahassee so far, and still windy, but a beautiful day. Yeah, great idea, Lab, having 5-gallon buckets of water in the bathroom for your flushing needs. Fantastic idea. Grocery shelves are getting low, Kathy says, and that's not surprising. Yeah, and that's a little trickier for people who had to evacuate because they could only take, what they had room for in the car or on the shuttle or bus or in an Uber or what have you, or in a backpack, so, but, and we will probably tomorrow, because tomorrow is the last of the guaranteed live streams, daily live streams, though I'm enjoying live streaming daily. And so maybe this will be something that, as I'm able, that we'll do more regularly, whether it's current events that we're on about or just connecting, I don't know, relevant topics that affect our community and that would be helpful to our community. In a lot of ways for purely selfish reasons, because having these live streams every day has been so good for me. It helped me take a shower today and wash my hair knowing I had a live stream coming, and I have a lot going on health-wise in my life, and 2 procedures next week that I'm very nervous about. I'm so grateful to have these live streams. And now that you guys taught me how to make it, hi Teresa from the UK, thanks for being here. You guys taught me how to have it subs only in the comments section. This has all been much cleaner and nicer, and I'm enjoying it. And this is really helping me, just purely selfishly, my own thing. It's really helping me to have these daily live streams. So I'm not saying they'll be every single day after this current storm situation, but I don't know, maybe maybe we'll do more of this. Yeah, maybe, we'll see. Vicky, that's ridiculous. Don't let people say shit like that to you. People are idiots. People like to be negative, and that's not what we're doing here. We are participating in this because we care, because we're human. It doesn't matter where on earth a disaster is happening, or if you have family there or know anyone there, even parasocially. It doesn't matter because we are human and we care about humans. And from every disaster situation, we can learn something to implement in our lives, a new behavior, a better behavior, to prepare in some way. And so, as humans who care about humans and who live as humans, not zombies yet, it's all relevant to all of us. So, there you go. Lab says having cash on hand, and I wonder if that'll be on this list, Lab. Probably. Hello, Lala. Thanks for being here. Kathy, you like the afternoon live streams? Okay, good, good. They're ending up being a perfect time for me so far. So, never at the exact same time of late because I'm working around physical therapy and doctor's appointments and all of that. So, okay, so water purifiers. There are also small ones. There are ones that are like water bottles, or they're like a pump thing. So there are lots of other options for purifiers. There's also tablets. If you have access to a gas stove, which I don't, other than like, cook stoves and stuff, there's boiling. You can boil it. Okay. So read up on it. I would say absolutely read up on it. Oh, Andrea, me as a politician. My God, can you imagine? But thank you for your faith in me. I appreciate that. Let's see. So yeah, I would highly encourage all of us to read up on water purifying options. Obviously, store water as best you can and as you have room for. Be aware of containers that you already have, or get some to have on hand if you have room that can hold extra amounts of water in emergency situations. Hi, Cindy. I'm so glad you're here. But then also, please do read up on water purifying options. Okay? Okay. Then there's generators. Now, generators are a whole other thing. I was intrigued, at first shocked, but then I thought about it, and someone I was watching that was living there in Florida said that they were not allowed to have a generator in their apartment, and so that they would likely be without power other than small, solar backups or whatever, which is something else to talk about, solar. I was like, why wouldn't they let them have a generator? Well, then I heard, Governor Ron DeSantis and some of his other officials talking about generators and reminding everyone to have them, I believe it was like 20 to 25 feet away from the house when they're going to be using them, to not have them close to windows and such. I never thought of any of that. I don't have a generator. I have battery backups that I have been doing a fairly good job on charging, but I don't have a generator. Okay. And so most generators are gas powered. And so it makes sense. Oh yeah, God, they're going to have fumes, there's potential for fire, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, you're going to not want to have a generator in your average apartment complex, and you're going to want to have it a ways from the house. So if you're not able to have a gas-powered generator, then what are your other options? So like I was just saying, solar. and battery backups. Will it be as much as a generator is going to do? No, obviously not. Of course not. But even if you can only just have your cell phone charged, that makes a load of difference, a world of difference. If it can power a CPAP machine or oxygen devices, breathing devices, what else? Well, anyway. Andrea, you be safe and be well. Thanks for spending time with us. Anyway, nebulizers. That's the one I was trying to think of. My nebulizer for asthma. Even if it could power that. So I have in the car a battery jumper. You know, it's to jump your battery, your car. But it also can fill up tires or whatever with air. So it's got the compressed air option, and it has USB ports, which is fantastic. So there's other things you could do with that one. Now that one does have to be charged, you know, with electricity, but once it is charged, it does have quite a bit of power to it. And then there are also lots of other portable backup chargers that have to be charged, but if you keep them charged and keep them in a safe place, they're going to be ready to go when needed. Then there are the solar powered ones, and my husband just invested in one for when he's like camping and he's out in the mountains with his bike and whatever, and he has solar panels that just, you know, he can put wherever, and they will continually charge the one that he has, and it runs small devices, including a coffee maker, which I think is vitally important. Hey, Mimi, how's it going, baby? So highly recommend that. There are options. It doesn't have to be a big, ginormous, space-taking, fume-producing, gas-powered generator. But if you are going to have a generator, do you have gas for it? And are you routinely using that gas, cycling it out? Because gas does get old. I learned that with reviews of zombie movies and like other apocalypse movies. Gas does get old. And so if you do have a, 5-gallon whatever gas can for your generator, be sure to cycle through it. Okay? And refresh it, replenish it. Okay. Excuse me. Portable lights. Yeah, of course. We were just talking earlier about, excuse me, God. Ooh, my goodness. Sorry, that was quite the little burpiness. Marion D., good night, be well, pleasant dreams. Thanks for spending time with us. So, flashlights, obviously. Lanterns, any other kinds of portable lights that you've charged or that have fresh batteries, be sure to check those regularly, charge regularly. Candles, kerosene lamps, but be careful, okay? Kathy, I'm so glad you enjoyed your mac and cheese. Fantastic. Vicky does have some lanterns. Okay, then batteries. So batteries, that's the batteries for your small devices, sure, but also the ones we were talking about that are backup batteries, battery packs to charge your other things. But definitely be checking batteries in your, not only flashlights, but your carbon monoxide detectors. Hey, let's prevent a disaster, shall we? And batteries in your smoke detectors, let's be checking the batteries. Several of you mentioned having matches. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to have matches. Ideally, waterproof matches. But whether they are the waterproof or regular matches, do keep them double sealed in watertight containers. And know where they are. Same with candles. Next on the list, this is number 7. Candles. Things might get soaked. Things might get ruined. That can happen. And if you just end up with candles, even if they are wet initially, you will be able, with a match, to warm them up enough to light them. Okay? So it doesn't have to be all of the modern tech, all right? when it comes to an emergency, often we're down to just basics. And the old reliables, like candles with matches, hey, they're a good idea. Just be careful. Because, of course, they also come with all those old-timey issues, which were the reason we advanced past just candles, a big part of it. The fire danger and danger of injury and all of that. So be careful. Then, number 8 is firewood. So this one's different. We do keep some firewood on hand, but it's not for use in the home. We don't have a fireplace or a wood stove. So ours is for camping or out at the fire pit, that kind of thing. But for many people, yeah, firewood. Keep plenty of that on hand, especially if it's your primary heat source. But not just that. I heard that in North Carolina, specifically kind of the Asheville area, but I'm sure this is plenty of places in that region, that people were just down to making campfires in their yards. To cook, to boil water, etc. etc. So having even a small amount of dry, covered firewood is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. And it needs to be firewood that's prepped. They don't even say that here, but I'm going to say it. Hi, Seth. Thanks for being here again. Appreciate that. But firewood that's prepared, firewood that's seasoned, firewood that's kept dry, and firewood that is cut down into usable sizes. So you chop down a tree and you've got big hunks of tree trunk. That's not going to be terribly useful in an emergency situation. And in an emergency, you might have limited energy resources among your survivors, and getting out the hatchet and having to, chop that apart, not ideal at the time and might not be possible, and you might not have the hatchet. So ideally, have the wood already prepared, ready to go, seasoned, dry, and kept dry. Number 9, a portable cooking mechanism. Well, we just talked about campfires. Again, in dire straits, and when it comes down to survival, the tried and true, the old school stuff, that's going to honestly, a lot of times, be the most reliable. So, beyond that, though, we have propane-powered cook stove. We have a kerosene-powered cook plate. Lots of people have gas stoves, which luckily still work when the power is all out. Unfortunately, we don't. We have electric. To be honest, gas scares me, but I know that it is really useful in a, emergency situation. Excuse me. So, have an idea of your portable cooking mechanisms, as they're called here, and also have the fuel that's necessary for your cooking mechanism. Outdoor cooking methods are listed. They mention that those will usually require propane or charcoal. There you go. If what you've got is just the summer barbecue, okay, you can use that with charcoal if it's dry, and you could use, if you don't have charcoal, okay, just throw some seasoned wood in there and cook that way. But that's not the only option. There are also solar ovens, and I would really like at some point to make one of these and try it out. I've seen many videos over the years, especially when I go into apocalypse mode and start obsessively watching preppers and that kind of thing. I have many times seen these solar ovens, but I've never made one. We're going to do that in a future video, maybe even a live one, and see if we can't figure out how to make that work. I know it involves foil So make sure you have foil on hand. You should have, that's one of those things that you want to have a little extra of anyway. Same with, toilet paper and whatnot. Foil. There are so many uses for aluminum foil. Okay, fire extinguisher. Now, I need to admit my guilt right here. We have right there a fire extinguisher that needs to be checked, but more likely replaced right there in the kitchen. And I am going to commit to that. I need to figure out where to buy one. I think you can get them at Walmart or even online probably. And then work it into our budget, because that's the way it is these days, guys. You gotta work things into the budget, right? Yes, Seth, exactly. That's what I'm saying. An up-to-date fire extinguisher. Because mine right there, I guarantee you, is not up to date. Would it still do in a pinch? Maybe, hopefully, probably. But will it be as good as it could be? No, absolutely not. So, I am putting that on my list. Okay? First aid kits. First aid kits. Seth, let us know when you've gotten yours replaced. Do you need to have every possible conceivable, and do you need to have a defibrillator in your first aid kit? No, but you've got to have the basics. You need to be able to clean a wound. You need to be able to cover a wound. You need to be able to at least temporarily suture a wound. There are adhesive sutures. You don't necessarily need to know how to sew it up, but it wouldn't hurt to have that in a pinch. Not something any of us, I think, want to have to do to sew up someone's injury, but it wouldn't hurt to know how. I'm not saying you'll automatically develop the stomach for it, okay, but to know how and to have the supplies on hand in your emergency kit. A sterilized needle and thread. Add those. but really, anything for keeping the wound clean, keeping it free of infection. I love you. Bye. Have so much fun. Keep a wound clean, cover it, seal it, suture it, prevent infections. So there we're talking about triple antibiotic ointments, things for pain relief. If you have other medical needs, have supplies and medications for those things in your first aid supply, but also refresh it at least once a year, okay? With some things you need to do it more often than that. Like myself, I need to have EpiPens, lots of them, and so that's something that needs to be refreshed, okay? And you need to, switch those out. I would say it wouldn't hurt, especially in your bigger first aid kit, to have things to at least set a broken bone. And I know there's videos galore here on YouTube that show you the basics of doing that. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that on a regular day when all that's wrong is a pipe broke, that you should be setting Junior's broken femur. Okay? We're talking in about the most dire situations where you don't have access to the professionals. Okay? Where it's a matter of life and death, and there's just no other option. Okay? And number 14 is a flare gun. Especially in your car, you should have flares and or a flare gun. Great idea to have them securely stored in your home, as mentioned here, for if you end up on your roof needing to be rescued, which unfortunately we know that does happen. Medical record book with allergies and everything. Absolutely, Vicky. Wonderful idea. Wonderful idea to keep that with your emergency supplies. I think someone else also mentioned this in the comments, but now it is on the list. The manual can opener. Wonderful idea to have that on hand. I use on the daily an electric can opener because I have arthritis and it's very difficult for me to grip and use, especially for an entire way around a can, a manual can opener. But in a survival situation, absolutely, you want the manual. Let's see how many more of these we can get through. I do need to finish getting ready for the day. We have a concert to go to tonight. Cast iron. So things like your Dutch oven and other cookware, often used for camping out, that kind of thing. The beauty of those is that you can use them to cook in any situation. That's fantastic. Okay. Some of your regular pots and pans are not going to do well in a survival situation, as well as cast iron would. The problem is cast iron is heavy. Very heavy. So, keep that in mind. Oh, a box cutter. Okay, not a bad idea. I can think of a million situations where a box cutter would come in handy. I would also recommend having a seatbelt cutter in your car. During our last prepper obsession, when was that? A year ago? 2 years ago? I don't remember. But we went through a prepper obsession. I can't remember what calamity was going on at the time that inspired us to jump on that wagon for a while. But one of the things that I did invest in for the van is a combo window breaker and seatbelt cutter. And I've not regretted it. Have I had to use it? Hallelujah. No. But have I regretted buying it and having it in the car? Absolutely not. I feel a certain amount of safety, okay, just knowing that is in the car that myself and Olivia use. Very much. It really is comforting to me. Number 18, plastic garbage bags. Variety of reasons. Variety of uses. I'm not going to go too much into that for the sake of time. We're not even going to get halfway through this particular list today, but we will continue it tomorrow, I promise you. But there's a million uses to have plastic garbage bags in a survival situation. Just one that I'll throw out is for sanitation purposes. Okay. But if you guys want to, in an upcoming live stream, we can go more into ideas and uses for each individual item. Was something that I've preached about for a bazillion years, especially when I do like product reviews. I like to find things that are multi-purpose, or if they don't have multi-purpose, or if they're not with intended multi-purpose aspects, then to find other uses for things that we choose to review or to buy. But not only that, in an emergency situation, you want to have multi-purpose items, things that will help you in 10 different ways if possible, because you might end up carrying all of it, whatever you're taking, carrying it on your back. And if you're like me, that's not going to be much and not very far. Okay. So ideally, you're going to want to have things that can do double duty, that can do several different things, provide lots of use, lots of help in an emergency situation, especially if you're carrying them. Yes, I'm so glad that you pointed that out, Holly. She talks about taking out your headrest and using that to break the car window. Now, I'm going to add to that, and I'm going to say, don't just hit any old place on the window or the windshield. Go for the corner of the windshield. So often you will see people just hitting at the window. That's not going to work. That's not the way it works. All right. You need to hit the corner of the window. That is actually the weakest part, is the corner. And you're going to have less, I believe it's surface tension to fight against when you are breaking a window. Okay. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Yes, the corner is the weakest point. So Please, this could save your life. This could save someone you love, someone you know. This could save their life. Have a window breaker or know how and if your particular headrests come out, and use the metal spikes on them, but go for the corner of the window. Corner of the window. Whatever window it is on your car, windshield, whatever, the corner. Okay? Duct tape. Absolutely. We prefer Gorilla Tape here, but duct tape works just as well in an emergency situation and costs less. And doesn't need to be permanent stuff, whereas Gorilla Tape we use for more permanent situations. Well, semi-permanent, I mean, it's tape. But yes, absolutely duct tape. Tarps, for sure. Yeah, temporary shelter, and so many other things. Again, sanitary purposes. If there are bodies and situations, unfortunately, you want to cover those and try to limit your exposure, especially if you're not able to bury or burn or get away from bodies. Julie N is checking in. Her brother texted this morning saying that they are well. The house survived, but has 3 leaks in the roof and leaking in the living room ceiling. No branches landed on the house, though. Fantastic. Wonderful. Kathy, I hope your lunch was delicious of your mac and cheese. Julianne, that's fantastic news. I'm so glad to hear that. Then glue. Did you know, and I learned this from my daddy, rest in peace, that super glue can be used for wounds. In fact, it was originally used, I believe it was in World War II. It was originally used for wound care for soldiers. And I believe it was World War II. I'll have to double check that. But of course, you can use it for a million other things in an emergency situation. Absolutely. Nails and screws. When the zombies are approaching, or whatevs, the zombies, the looters, the windstorm, whatever, yeah, you're going to want nails and screws. If you're able to get plywood, which some people were, awesome. You're going to put that up. You're going to cover your windows. You're going to cover your doors. But if not, and you end up having to break up the furniture, well, having nails and screws and a hammer and a screwdriver will be very helpful. Gas containers. We had spoken earlier about making sure that if you have a generator, say, that you have the gas to power it, but that you also rotate, refresh your gas, because it does in fact age, it does in fact go bad eventually, and make sure that you have containers to fill with gas in an emergency situation. Fix a flat. That's a great idea. Having the stuff to plug your to plug and repair your tire. And then, like I was saying, with my battery jumper, portable battery jumper that I keep in the van, it also has the option to fill your tire with it. Kathy says some of her neighbors had duct taped their windows. There you go. A compass. Okay, this one's tricky, but we're going to learn together in an upcoming video, probably even live, most likely live, how to even use a compass. I'm not a Boy Scout. I don't know how to use a compass. 43 years old, considers herself a zombie aficionado, ready for the apocalypse, dreaming of the apocalypse in a weird way, and I don't know how to use a compass. Oh, Kathy, that's so cute. You give your kitty some love for me. Yeah, I don't know how to use a compass, but we're going to learn together how to use a compass. Stay tuned. Backpacks, absolutely. Backpacks that are packed and ready to go. Okay? Yeah, have one ready to go with the supplies that you need. But also, again, cycle through and refresh, okay? Because I remember the last time that I changed out our bug out bag, it had toddler sized clothing for Mariah. Mariah's 12. Oops. And the granola bars were quite stale. Sleeping bags and blankets. Yes. Will you be able to carry them? I recommend having the emergency blankets that fold up to like this big. Are they amazing and wonderful? No. But will they work in a pinch? Yes. If you're going to have sleeping bags and blankets as part of your emergency supplies, then they need to be in a place that's going to be kept dry. Ours are in the attic. I feel pretty good about that. Portable mattresses. I don't know that you need an entire cot or blow up mattress or whatever. If possible, sure. Especially if you have a car that you're hauling your things in. But I would say, again, go with the emergency blanket, because that in a pinch could be what you lie down on. Would I love to have, at the very least, one of those egg carton mattresses if I'm going to be having to be on the ground? Yes. But again, if we're down to what we can carry, A composting toilet. Now we're going definitely more of a long-term emergency prepping, not just preparing, but more of a prepping. If you can do that, fantastic. But I wouldn't say that a composting toilet is likely to be necessary for a week-long emergency situation while we wait for things to get restored. I would say that your garbage bags and stuff like that will work in a pinch for sanitary purposes, or a good shovel would also do, rather than having to set up an entire composting toilet. Would a composting toilet be more efficient? Well, long-term, sure. In a long-term apocalypse situation, yes. But I think we are focusing more at the moment on immediate emergency supplies, where you're waiting for 1 to 2 weeks for things to get semi-normal or to get into a hotel situation or temporary living situation, I think. If you disagree, that's fine. Coolers, absolutely. Especially if you're hunkering down and you're going to lose power, as millions of people did and are continuing to experience, you're going to want a cooler, okay? Because if your refrigerator is going to die, and you don't want to lose hundreds of dollars worth of your stock of food, of emergency food even, a really good cooler and some water bottles that have been frozen ahead of time is going to come in so handy, especially a high quality cooler like a Yeti or the knockoff of a Yeti. Those will keep things cold for days. It can also be really handy for medications that need to be kept cold. Fishing supplies, sure, but you also got to know how to fish. So, and I don't. And not only that, you need to have access to a place to fish. So I think that's a little more emergency, like stranded, lost in the woods, long-term apocalypse type supplies, and also area specific, unless you're going to be on the move. Canning supplies, also fantastic for long-term emergency storage, whether to grow your own and store your own food, which I'm going to be doing a lot more of next year, but also they can hold water. So there's just another container option for holding some emergency water. There's the Van Hooks. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so they know what we're talking about. They went without power for a couple of days, and it changes your life. It changes your world. Seth, absolutely. Seth points out that fishing supplies would be good for stitching up wounds, and that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. So if you already have fishing supplies on hand, they'll be good for that. If you have sewing supplies on hand, those will also be good for that. A knife sharpener, yeah, a dull knife is almost useless. Unless it comes to self-defense, it can still be useful. Carbon monoxide detector, we talked about that. Have one, but also set it up and check the batteries. I think last time we were in prepping mode, video wise, and in my life, I admitted that I had a carbon monoxide detector that had been sitting in its plastic package for quite a long time. Well, I'm very proud to say it is live and going, and I test it regularly. So I did get that done. Very proud of that. Get a carbon monoxide tester. It very much can save your life. Make sure it's set up to batteries. You can, wire them into the house. That's great, but always have the backup batteries as well and test it regularly. Bug spray, great idea. You can get malaria, okay? You can get malaria just from a mosquito bite in a lot of areas, or West Nile virus and assorted other maladies. And then for people like me who have severe allergies to bugs, assorted bugs, critters, bug spray is going to come in really handy. And not even just for those purposes, but bug bites can become infected. And in a survival situation, you don't need infections. You don't need infections. Bug spray, great idea. I'm not sure how I feel about these next two. I'm going to read them, but with the preface that I don't know. You know what I mean? Beverly, if I haven't said hello. Thanks for being here, Beverly. Yes, an old pair of glasses in your pack. Great idea. As someone who uses them, yes, 100% agree. But these two, I don't know. I'd have to read more and think more about this. But they recommend rat poison and roach killer. I know nobody wants to deal with rats or roaches. I get that. And they do talk about you don't want to share your living space with those creatures and critters, and I do understand that. But I also think, I don't know. We're talking about specifically today in this, we're talking about short-term survival situations. So I don't know. I'd have to hear people's thoughts on these two items, because I'm afraid you could end up doing more harm than good with rat and roach poison. So I don't know. A hand pump is a great idea. That's if you've got no water, but you do have access to a well. I don't, but if you do, keep that in mind. Again, this is very much a general, very broad. I believe it lists 75 items, okay? And I know we could really narrow that down significantly for, a bug out bag, okay? But they're giving a very broad recommendation of items, okay? Collection of items. For instance, cordless power tools. Yeah, those could absolutely come in handy when securing your shelter, securing your items and things, and you don't have access to power, having freshly charged power tools. But that's more of a hunkering down, I think, kind of situation. And for following the disaster, then getting out and cutting trees down and out of the way and making repairs and securing the situation, I think. I'm not likely to put a Makita in my backpack. My husband is. He takes them when he goes out into the woods and stuff in case, trees have fallen across the trails and stuff. Yeah, Holly, I'm really not on board with the rat and roach poison. I think that would have to be more of a specific situation. Julie N., this is a list that I found online from a site called morningchores.com. So morningchores.com/emergency supplies is this list. And it's got a very broad range of emergency supplies for, to me, what's looking like from short to very long term, like apocalypse emergency situations. And it's very general, very broad. So obviously you're going to have to modify it for your own needs and for what you're preparing for. We'll do like 2 more and then I do need to hop off. Garden tools, again, kind of more long-term emergency situation. But I can think of gardening tools being helpful in actually several situations, even in the short term. But that would also be more like, again, more of a hunkering down situation, I think, or for after the disaster, when you're cleaning out the mud and the debris and whatnot. Seeds, again, that's more of a long-term kind of a thing. And finally, we'll end with this one, and this is important. Small defenses. That can mean a variety of things. Okay? Not everyone has to be packing the Second Amendment to have something to protect themselves. And I am not going to go into the politics of any of it. We're not doing that. I am just going to say, do have means to protect yourself and your loved ones. What that might be, what you might have access to, but this is what I will say. Whatever you do have access to, know how to use it. Know how to keep it safe. And that could be anything, a pew pew or a whatever it is that you have, know how to use it and know how to keep it safe and all of your family safe, and your neighbors and local public schools safe. Yeah, I had to go there. I had to. Know how to use it and know how to keep everyone safe from your safety devices. That's all on that. Okay? Okay. There are so many others, and I would say some are definitely more useful than others, but we'll go into those tomorrow. Again, I don't know exactly what time, but I will live stream an hour tomorrow. We'll go through the rest of this list, and I'll probably live stream even longer than that tomorrow because I'm able to tomorrow. I don't have anything else going on tomorrow that I have to be in a hurry to. So we'll finish the rest of the list tomorrow, and then again discuss what things apply to us and how we can modify them, and then how you have to adapt to the different situations that you're preparing for, or the situations that arise, because you might have this fantastic bug out kit situation, trailer, whatever, room in your house, bunker, who knows, with everything ready, okay, and then the situation that you're presented with completely turns everything upside down, whether literally or figuratively. And you have to rethink your emergency situation and say, you know what? Those things that I have prepared are not going to be worth a damn in this situation, either because they're flooded, they're burnt, they're not accessible, I can't take them with me, or they're just not relevant to the disaster that the universe decided I would be experiencing. And so I think a huge part of all of this is preparing, but also being able to adapt and to have skills, to learn skills. Like I said, I don't know how to use a compass. We're going to learn how to use one together. I don't know how to create and or use a solar oven. Okay. These are skills we need to learn how to use. Skills we need to learn, and then have the things necessary for those skills and make them compact enough that they can be taken with us should we need to take them with us. And then we need to regularly go through our supplies and update and refresh. Okay. But being able to adapt, being able to barter, being able to make connections and have connections in place with family, friends, neighbors, and you know, those in your community for when that time comes, those relationships are also vital. We've seen that. Those relationships are vital. So those are things I would recommend working on. And then we will go through the rest of this tomorrow. I will do my darndest to announce that on here on the community tab, on our Facebook page, and on Instagram, ideally some hours ahead of time. And then I am looking forward to doing more regular live streams. Will they be every day? I'm not going to promise that. You guys know better than to, I know better than to promise anything anymore. But I am enjoying doing them, and it's very helpful to me, just personally, very helpful. So I think we will. I don't know what we'll be discussing every time, but it will be relevant topics to kind of the channel message and ethic and community and all of that. So, all right, stay tuned. Be well, be safe, check on your family, friends, and neighbors. Go ahead and start building those relationships. Check on people. Okay, it's a good idea. And you'll feel warm and fuzzy about it. And you'll be glad that you did, should an emergency, whether for everyone or just for you, happen to arise, because eventually it is going to. Some kind of emergency or disaster will find you. So build those relationships. Anyway, speaking of relationships, guys, thank you so much for being part of this and for spending some of your day with me. I love it so much, and I'm really grateful. So, okay, take care, be well, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.